So we're starting today the Gemara on Daf Chafei Amud Aleph, 2 lines from the top. Karfif, right? This is the sugya we've been learning the past few days about the Gzeira of Chazal regarding an area that's enclosed like a Reshus HaYachid, but it's an area that's larger than the Mishkan, than the Chatzar of the Mishkan. A Karfif Yesem Yibeis Asayim. So Chazal what goes are not to carry there, like a Reshus HaRabim. So here, in the beginning of the Gemara today, we will be discussing different kinds of ways how a person can minimize the space, or he can change the status of the space in order to be matter to carry there. Let's see. Zok the Gemara. Karfif Yesem Yibeis Asayim. So this area that's larger than Beis Asayim. Shaloi hukaf l'dira, and it was not enclosed for the purpose of someone living there. So you're not allowed to carry there. Ubal l'matoi, and he wants to minimize the space to be allowed to carry there. Miatoi bi'ilonis. So the person minimized the space by planting trees there. Loi have a miyat. Planting trees there is not considered to be a miyat. It's a regular thing that in such an area you have trees there. Trees is just part of the space of the area. It's not considered to be that it has less of a space. Bana boy amud gavoya asara. What's if you build a platform that's tall 10 tvachim, v'rachal varba, and it's wide 4 tvachim? Then have a miyat. That's not like a usual thing that you have in an open garden or an open area. That's already something unique that minimizes the space and you're allowed to carry there. Migimel va'adalit. How about if the width of this platform that you built is from 3 by 3 tvachim? I skipped something? Yeah, I skipped, sorry. Pachas migimel tvachim. How about if the width of this platform is less than 3 tvachim? Lo yav a miyat. That doesn't minimize the space. We always know less than 3 tvachim is lavud. Doesn't have any chshivas whatsoever. How about migimel va'adalit? It's more than 3 tvachim, but it's less than 4 tvachim. So here there's an argument. Rabba Amar have a miyat. Rabba says it's not lavud anymore. So therefore, it's minimizes the space. Rava says lo yav a miyat. Rava says it's not considered a miyat. The Gemara explains it the machlekes. Rabba have a miyat. Rabba says this is considered a miyat. You minimize the space of this karfif. Once this platform is not less than 3 tvachim, so it takes up space and it minimizes the exact space of Beis Hasayim that this area was. Rava Amar lo yav a miyot kivin lo yav a makim dalid lo choshev. It's not enough that you have a space that's not loved anymore and it's there, there's something that exists there. If it's not a makim choshev, so then it's not going to be mevatel the space. If you still have a chair, a table, something that's there, it's not going to be mevatel. It's not a dava choshev. It has to be. It's not enough that it's not loved. It has to be a platform that's considered to be something choshev to be mevatel the space of this karfif. Another case where a person wants to be mevatel this karfif of the space that it has now. So a person is moving, he has the walls of this karfif around and around, and he wants to build a new wall. And when he's going to build a new wall, he's going to build it with the intention that now he's building this wall in order to live there, to make it a beis dira. One of the issues is that no one's living there. Now he builds a new wall for a beis dira. So where did he build this new wall? So hirchik min ha'kaisel arba, he moves away from the wall where it's now 4 tvachim, v'asa mechitza, and he builds another wall. Hayil, so this will work, this will be beneficial for the place to make it now a place that he can carry there. Pachis migimel, if he builds another wall and it's less than 3 tvachim away from the original wall, loy hayil, that doesn't help anything. Again, the point is it's lavud. It's like you built a wall on top of another wall. We learned yesterday that if you build a wall on top of another wall, you haven't accomplished anything. It already has a wall. Migimel vadalid. The
fact is, even if it's
so the point over here, that's why I mentioned the point I said before, the point over here he's trying to do is not to minimize the space. The point that he's trying to do is he's going to build a second wall for the intention to be a beis dira. The space is still going to be Yesem Beis Hasayim, but he wants to build another wall now with the purpose for it to be a beis dira.
So he's got the old wall and he's putting another wall.
Another wall near it. So
where's the beis dira there?
He's going to open a door of a beis dira. He's going to have a house that's going to be open to this area to make it a beis dira. Right? So if it's right near the other wall, so he hasn't accomplished anything. So what he did now to make it a beis dira is nothing. It's like on top of the other wall. So loy hoyel. Migimel va'dalit. If he's building a wall near the other wall, it's more than 3 tvachim, but it's less than 4 tvachim away. So here we have the same achloikis as we had before. Rabba Amar Hoyel. Rabba says that works. Rava Amar Einamoyel. Rava says it doesn't work. Rabba Amar Hoyel. The Hanafik Lemetatis Lavet. You moved it away more than 3 tvachim or more, so that's not Lavet. Rava Amar Einamoyel. Rava says it doesn't work. Kivin lo yahava makim dalid loy choshev. If you don't move it away from the original wall at least 4 tvachim, it's not a choshev a space that what you're doing has any benefit. Rav Shimi masni lekula. Rav Shimi quoted the same machlokes here between Rabba and Rava, but he taught the machlokes in a more lenient way. So Rashi explains he taught the machlokes that they were actually arguing in a case where you built the second wall within 3 tvachim to the first wall, and even there, according to Rabba, it's going to work, even though usually you say lavud, but Rabba holds that it doesn't matter. Lavud doesn't matter. The fact that you built the wall near the other wall is going to be okay, and it's a new wall that's here, and it's going to be mata to carry. And Rava says that because there's lavud, so it's not going to be mata. So the argument basically was whether we apply the concept of lavud in this case. That's the way he learned this machlekes. Another case where a person is trying to be mater the karfif. Toch boy tit. A person has a wall and he puts a lot of cement on the wall and over here he is actually trying to minimize the space of this karfif. The karfif is exactly beis hasayim, a drop more than beis hasayim actually. If it's beis hasayim it's fine. It's a drop more than beis hasayim, and therefore you're not allowed to carry there. So he puts a layer of cement on the wall, and that layer of cement makes the space smaller. So he puts tit, so this cement that he put, this layer of cement that he put on the wall, if you remove the wall, that layer of cement will be able to stand on its own. So then that minimizes the space of this karfif, and you can carry there. But if it could not stand on its own, it's on another layer, but it's connected to the wall. The moment you remove the wall, the whole layer of cement will fall apart as well. Rabba says it doesn't matter. The fact is that now you minimize the space, and it's good. Rav Amar lo yavamiyat. This does not help to minimize the space of the karfif. What's the argument? Rabba says that this minimizes the space. Hashta miyakoi. Right now, this layer of cement is standing. It's relying on the wall, but it is standing. So the fact is you have minimized the space of more than beis hasayim. Rava says no, it does not help to minimize this space. Since it can't stand on its own, so even while it's standing, we consider it to be nothing. It's just part of the wall. It's an extension of the wall, and you have to look at the original space of this place that the wall around and around had. It doesn't help anything. Another case, hirchik minatel arba. What happens if you have a karfif that has walls on 3 sides, and on the 4th side it doesn't have a wall? Instead of a wall, it sort of has this mountain of sand that goes on the whole length of the wall that's closing it. A tail. That's the enclosure of the 4th side. So now you build a wall on the 4th side where there is this tail, and you build a wall moved away from the tail arba, 4 tvachim. Vasa mechitza, you make a mechitza. Hoyel. So this works. The same point as we said before, you're building another wall and you're moving it away from the original enclosure 4 tvachim. Pachas migimel, if you move it away less than 3 tvachim, oy al sfasa tail, you build a wall on the edges of the actual mountain of the sand that's there itself. So Rav Chisda v'Rav Amnuna. Rav Chisda and Rav Amnuna argue about this. Chad Omar hoyel, one opinion is this does work. Chad Omar loy hoyel, and another opinion says that it doesn't work. So here we see one opinion is, and in a moment the Gemara is going to say that this is Rav Chisda, that Rav Chisda holds that actually if you have a wall around the karfif and you build another wall right next to it, or even on top of it, that will help for changing the status of a karfif. Until here, in the Gemara yesterday, until there we learned in the Gemara that everybody agrees that you always have to build a new wall, and it has to be moved away from the original wall to some extent, that it should be considered to be a second wall. Rav Chisda says no, you can build a second wall right on top of the original wall, which in this case was a tail, and it doesn't matter. The fact that there's a new extension to the wall, and now you built for the purpose that it should be a beis dira, will change the status of the place. So the Gemara,
regardless of space, and this is just
correct.
size.
Yeah, correct? We're not trying to minimize the space, we're just trying to change the status by building that extension with the intention that it's going to be a base dira. Sagt die Gemara, Testayim, I'll bring you a raya, that Rav Chisda Ama Hoyel. That Rav Chisda is the one that says that building a wall on top of an existing wall, in this case it was a tail, that it works. The Itmar, because we learned the following halacha. You build one mechitza on top of another mechitza. Regarding Shabbos, this extension will work, will add with this addition, it accomplishes something. But regarding Nichsi Ager, you won't be kaina. The halacha by Nichsi Ager is, it's hefker. He has no yarshim. How you kaina Nichsi Ager? You have to make a chazaka. You have to do something inside of it in order to show, in order to express your ownership. That's a kinyan of chazaka. So one of the ways to make a kinyan is to put up a wall. So you enclose the area, you show your ownership. So what happens if it has a wall? You just added another foot to the wall. You build an addition to the wall. So by Nichsi Ager, that doesn't work. You have to actually put a wall in a place where there was no wall over there. But for Shabbos, it does work. That's what Rav Chisda said. Rav Sheisha says, Af b'Shabbos nami loy hoyel. Even regarding Shabbos as well, adding an extension to a wall does not help. So Testayim, so we have a raya over here that this is what Rav Chisda said. It's taka raya. Rav Chisda holds adding an extension to the wall with the intention to make it a beis dira will change the status of the karfif. Rav Chisda umaydeli Rav Sheishes will agree to me in the following case. She'im asa mechitza al hatel, if you build a mechitza on a tail, so you have an elevated area, which the whole area, it's a mountain. And that whole area is 10 tvachim high and more than a beis hasayim wide. Big area, a big elevated area. What's the halacha? Has a din of reshus hayachid. Right? Any area that's elevated 10 tvachim high has a din of reshus hayachid, but it's a very large area, so therefore you can't carry it. The gzeira of karfif applies. So he builds a wall around this area of the tail. On top of the tail, he builds a wall around. In such a case, Rav Sheishes will agree to me that it works. Shahayil. Even though l'chayri, you're building a mechitza, a wall on top of this tail, which already has the height of 10 tvachim, which is a mechitza on top of mechitza. But still, Rav Sheishes will agree to me that it works. Why? My timer. The person is dwelling in the airspace on top of this tail, so the wall that he's building is something that accomplishes something. He's enclosing himself in a wall. Until now, this was an open area. He was on an elevated area, taka, but it was a completely open area. So over here, the second mechitza that he's building is helping something. In your usual case, when you have a wall and you just add an addition to the wall, you already had a wall that was enclosing you. So it doesn't help anything. But over here, you're living in the avid of this tail, so it does accomplish something, even according to Rav Sheishes.
For Shabbos or Nichsi Ager?
Even for Shabbos and l'chayre for Nichsi Ager as well. What happens if nivlu mechitzas atachtainis? So a person has a wall surrounding his property, and he builds an extension on top of that wall. And then after he builds the extension, the original wall sinks into the ground. And now he's left with the extension. So Amazli made this extension, and now he's only left with this extension. So does this extension now have help for anything? The extension is still there. Mahu. What's the halacha? Could we use this extension for something? So the Gemara asks, Lagabi, what are you asking the question? Lamai. Regarding what is this question? If the question is regarding a case where a person built this extension because he wanted to be kaina the nechasim of a ger, and while he made the extension, so there was a wall there already. And then later on, the lower wall it was sunk into the ground. So would that work? Would that work as a kinyan of the Nichsi Ager? Is that your question? Hainu the Yirmiyah Bira. So the Gemara says we could learn this out from something that Yirmiyah Bira taught us. Yirmiyah Bira, Rav Yehuda, in the name of Rav Yehuda, regarding being kaina Nichsi Ager. So as I mentioned, the way to be kaina Nichsi Ager is to improve the field, to do something to show your ownership, a chazaka. You can even dig in it a little bit. You do something, you make a lock on the door. So what happens if a person did as follows? A person threw seeds of a turnip into a hole in the ground, the ger of a ger. And he's improving the field. He's planting something there. Would that be a good kinyan? But then, Somebody else comes along, and Rafik Bey Porta, and he actually dug in the field a little bit. He did a charisha in the field. So who's kaina? Basra Kani, the second person that dug in the field, he improved the field and he's kaina. Kama loikani, the first person that threw the seeds into the ground, he's not kaina. Why not? My time, in the time when he threw the seeds into the ground, at that point, it has not improved the field. The fact that there's a seeds there, it didn't do anything yet. Then later on, when it begins growing, so that happens on its own. It grows by itself. So right now, the field itself did not change. So therefore, you're not going to be kaina. So the Gemara is saying the exact same thing is over here. B'shas, you built that extension, you weren't doing anything because there was a wall there already. They didn't need your wall. Then later on, you walked away, and automatically the lower wall it was sunk into the ground. Now your wall is useful. But that happened memela. You didn't do it. So therefore, it's not going to be kaina by a nichsi ager. So that's pashut. For Ella, the question is, Linyan Shabbos. Regarding Shabbos over here, when you're adding an extension. Could we now use this wall that's here on Shabbos that before it was an extension and it was not useful, and now it's here in the wall, the lower wall is in the ground, and now it is useful. Could we use this on Shabbos? Sagt the Gemara, have a mechitza nasa b'Shabbos. This is a mechitza that was created on its own on Shabbos itself. It sunk into the ground, and now you have this mechitza that was created on Shabbos itself. The Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, call mechitza nasa b'Shabbos. Anytime a mechitza is created on its own on Shabbos, bein b'shoigig, bein b'mezid, whether it happens b'shoigig, whether you even made a mechitza b'mezid on Shabbos, you were machal Shabbos and you made this mechitza. Shma mechitza. The fact is, it's a mechitza even if it happens on Shabbos itself. So over here as well, itaka is a mechitza that was created on its own on Shabbos, but there's a mechitza here. So therefore now you could rely on this new mechitza that's here. But the Gemara asks, we had this before already a few times, Lav itmar Allah, didn't we learn about this braisa? Amar Rav Nachman, leishanu ela lizraik. This mechitza could only be used l'chumra. That if you're going to throw something from a Rosh Hashanah into this area, that you're going to be chayiv. Aval atal aser. To use this area like a regular Rosh Hashanah, even l'kula that you're allowed to carry there, you're not allowed. When it's a mechitza that was created on Shabbos itself. So you can't rely on this mechitza. So the Gemara says, no, but ki itmer de Rav Nachman, amazed itmer. This that Rav Nachman says that we're machmer. And we're not mekel, you can't use it like a regular mechitza, that's only if the person was machal Shabbos. And b'mezid, he built this mechitza on Shabbos. Then you're not allowed. But if it's a mechitza that happened on its own, the wall that was below it sunk into the ground, and this mechitza happened on its own, that's something that you could rely on even on Shabbos. Over here, regarding the karfif, to change the status of the karfif, you could rely on this even on Shabbos. Sagt the Gemara, itma, we learned in the Braisa. The Gemara here brings an incident that happened regarding being kaina nichsi ager. Hahi itze, there was a woman, she didn't know the halacha, so what happened? The avda mechitze al gabi mechitze benichsi ager. She wanted to be kaina the property of a ger. So she went and built an addition to the wall. It was a wall that she added an addition. Asahu gavra, comes another individual, and Rafik Bey Porta. She never spent a lot of money to go build an extension on the wall, and this other person comes along with a shovel and digs in it a little bit. He does a little thing, and that's it. So who's kaina? Aslak, I made it Rav Nachman. So they came to Rav Nachman, and she was arguing, look how much I spent, and look what I did over here. And you just dug a little bit in the ground. Rav Nachman says it belongs to this person that dug a little bit in the field. She came screaming to Rav Nachman, what do you mean? Look what I did. I made this whole extension here in the wall of this chutzah. My Lord, Rav Nachman said to her, what could I do for you? Your chazakah was not done in the way people usually make a chazakah. Once you have a wall there, expressing your ownership by adding an addition is not the way people make a chazakah. You have to do something that improves the field in a way that without your improvement, it didn't have this at all. If it had already a wall, it doesn't accomplish anything. Sagt the Gemara weiter, going back to the karfif. Karfif base shalish. If you have a karfif that is three sasayim, right? So it's more than the minimum size of base sasayim, it's shalish sign. The kira by besa, and now you place the roof over one besa of this area. So the question is, the fact that you placed a roof, and now the rest that does not have a roof is exactly Beis Asayim, which is a size that you're allowed to carry. It's not more than Beis Asayim, and the rest has a roof over it. Does this minimize the space? Rava Omar, so Rava says, Avir kiruyoi miyatroi. This space that you have, the roof over it, miyatroi, means it's an extension. It's still considered to be one big area that's more than Beis Asayim. In other words, the roof that you put up in that area does not accomplish anything. It's still considered to be miyatroi. It's too much, it's too large, it's all an extension to the space where there's Beis Asayim. Rab Zera says, no, ein avir kiruyoi miyatroi. The space where you put up the wall is not an extension to this area that does not have a roof over it. Sorry, not a wall, you put a roof. So that this area that you put up the roof is not considered to be separate. So now this area is minimized. It's now a Beis Asayim, you'll be allowed to carry there. So the question is whether the roof accomplishes anything. The Gemara brings another case where you see such a kind of machlekes, whether just putting up a roof alone accomplishes something. So Leime, should we say that Rav v'Rab Zeira beplukte the Rav Shmuel kamiflik? They're arguing in a similar machlekes of Rav and Shmuel. The Itma, we learned the machlekes between them. Achsadra bibika. A person has an achsadra and a bika. So an achsadra is you have a roof. You put up poles like a chuppah. You put up poles and then a roof and no walls at all. In the middle of an open area, completely open area, you have absolutely no walls, which is usually what you need for a Reshus HaYachid. All you have is a roof. Does that enclose it as a Reshus HaYachid? Rav says yes, mutal taltal bekula, you're allowed to carry in the whole area. Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel says no, ein metaltlin ela bedal damas. You could only carry within Dal Damas, like an open space of a Carmelis or a Shusarabim. The fact that you made a roof does not accomplish anything. And the Gemara explains the machlekes. Rav says you can carry there even without any walls. Amrinon pitikra yored v'saisim. The edges of the roof come down. That's the halach of a roof, that we consider it as if it comes down and you have a full enclosure. Shmuel says no, you could only carry within 4 ames. We don't rely on this concept. We don't apply such a concept that the edges of the wall is as if it extends downward to enclose the area. So it's still an open area. So you're not allowed to carry there.
Only carry under the achsadre?
According to who? According to Rav? Yeah, only on the dachsadr, only under that roof with the pitikra is yored v'saisim. So l'chayre, it's the exact same question over here. You have a huge area which is more than Beis Asayim, so you can't carry there. But now you have one area that you put up a roof. If you're going to say that because there's a roof there, so it's yored v'saisim, so it closes off that area. So now this area that's outside of the roof is minimized. You're allowed to carry there. Rab Zera says no, the roof is not considered as if it comes down. It's all one big open area, and therefore you can't carry. So the Gemara explains it's not necessarily is it connected. If we're talking about a person that makes a roof that's level, the whole roof is on one level, so then hachanami, then you're right, it's a comparison. It's exactly the machlokes between Rav and Rab Zera is the exact same machlokes as Rav and Shmuel. What was the machlokes over here? The avda ki orzila. This is a roof that's made slanty, and it comes down in a slant in a way that the edge of the roof does not have a thickness of a tefach. The only time you say pi tikra yored v'saisim is if the edge of the roof has a thickness of a tefach, then it's considered as if it comes down. But a slanty roof that comes down in a way that there's no thickness of a tefach, over here Rab Zera said that you can't say pi tikra yored v'saisim. That was the chiddush of Rab Zera. So they probably have a picture of this if you want to see. It's not a hard case to understand. But if you want to see the picture, you could take a look in picture Reish Hey. Okay, and get ready for the other pictures that we're going to learn right now. Okay, the case of the roof that comes down slanty. Zok to Gemara. Okay, so what did we have over here? Rab Zera says you have a big area, a karfif, and a part of the area you built a roof. That roof, at least in the case that it comes down slanty, you can't say pi tikra yored v'saisim, and it's still considered to be one big area. It doesn't change the status of the area. Rab Zera says, Rab Zera, but I will agree. The karfif shenifratz b'miluay l'chotzer, a karfif that's completely opened up to a chotzer that's right near it, she'aser. then in such a case, it's going to be chotzer. In other words, if you had the karfif itself, and the karfif itself was exactly beis hasayim, so it wasn't too big, you were allowed to carry it there. But now this karfif the wall of the karfif got completely opened up to another chotzer. So now this chotzer will be considered to be an extension of the karfif, and now it's more than a beis hasayim, and it'll be also to carry there. So Rab Zayda says, in a chotzer, I would agree, will be an extension to the karfif. An area where there's a roof, so that becomes that's considered to be one area, and you don't say pitikra yored v'saisim, right? But over here, again, am I confusing the opinion of Rab Zayda and Rava? Again, what did Rab Zayda say? Rab Zayda was, Rab Zayda said that in the case of a roof, the roof is considered to be like it's coming down, and it doesn't close that area. So the area where there's a roof over it is not a continuation of the karfif. But Rab Zayda is maida, b'negei to a chotzer, that by a chotzer, that area will be considered to be an extension to the karfif, and therefore it'll be aser. My timer, what's the reason? Hayil v'aver chotzer miyatre. This new space of the chotzer that's now extended to the karfif extends the area, so it's more than a beis hasayim, so it makes it aser. Fragt the Gemara, maskef lo Rav Yosef, v'chi aver hamutter loy oisroi. Is it possible to say that an area of a space that's mutter makes it aser? So Rashi explains, the Gemara's question is based on 2 points. First of all, the Gemara's question is based on the opinion of Rab Shimon. We had this before, and this is an important point for the hemshech of our Gemara. There's b'chlal or machlokes between Rab Shimon and the Rabbanon. Anytime you have two chatzeres that are right near each other, is there any issue of carrying from one chatzah to another chatzah? Do you need an Erev chatzeres to carry from one chatzah to another chatzah? Rab Shimon says no. The issue of Erev chatzeres is to carry from a house to a chatzah. Or if you had kalim that were in a house and you want to bring it out to the chatzar and then go to another chatzar. But if you have any items in one chatzar and you want to take it from one chatzar to another chatzar, from one roof to another roof, from one karfif to another, there's never an issue. So that's one point over here. So the fact that it's open, the karfif, which is one area, one chatzar, one area, open to a chatzar, there's no issue to carry from one to another according to Rab Shimon. Besides that, Rashi says another point, the chatzar is an area that's enclosed as a beis dira. So if it's made as a beis dira, the karfif is not made as a beis dira, and therefore there's an issue to carry there if it's too large. But the area of the chatzar is actually made as a beis dira. So how could we say that because my karfif has now been extended to a chatzar, that makes an isser? The chatzar is an area which is made for a beis dira. That shouldn't be an extension that should create any isser. So what's the problem? Answers the Gemara, Amalei Abaye, Keman, Ke Rab Shimon. You're asking a question according to the opinion of Rab Shimon. Rab Shimon Nami, even according to Rab Shimon, ha'ike avir mokim mechitzis. Forget about the fact that the chatzar extends the karfif. How about the actual space of the wall itself? We're talking about a karfif that was exactly beis hasayim. And the moment the wall is broken down and there's an opening now between the karfif to the chatzar, the issue is not the fact that the chatzar is an extension. That area that the wall itself is also an extension. So therefore, it's more than a beis hasayim, and it's also. The Amar Rav Chiste, the Gemara brings the source where we see this. Rav Chiste said, "Karfif shenifratz b'miluay l'chatzer," a karfif that was completely opened up into a chatzer, like the case that we're speaking about over here. So the statement Rav Chiste said was, "Chatzer muteres." In the chatzer, you're allowed to carry, and the karfif aser. But in the karfif, you're not allowed to carry. So now, what's the pshat in this? Chatzar, my time muteres. What's the reason why in the chatzar you are allowed to carry? The islay gifufi is the reason because there are remnants of the wall. What's the pshat of islay gifufi? So take a look in the picture. Look in picture Reish Vav. So here you see a karfif that's totally open to the chatzar, right? But the karfif is smaller than the chatzar. So what happens when the karfif is, in other words, in the width of the karfif? The width of the karfif is less than the chatzar. So you have remnants of the walls on both sides of the chatzar, right? So therefore for the chatzar, since you have those remnants, so you can carry in the chatzar. In the karfif though, the karfif has no remnants of any wall. It's totally open into the chatzar. So Rashi explains, right now what the Gemara is saying is, if we're going to say that this statement of Rav Chiste is all based on the Rabbanon's opinion, what's the point of Rabbanon's opinion? You're not allowed to carry from one chatzar to another. So you're not allowed to carry from a karfif to a chatzar. So in this case, the karfif that's totally open to the chotzer without any remnants, you're not allowed to carry. So the chotzer that's totally open to the karfif, asers to carry in the karfif. The chotzer though is not completely open into the karfif. The chotzer has remnants of walls that closes it off from the chotzer. So therefore you're still allowed to carry in the chotzer. If that's going to be the pshat and what Rav Chisda said, so then it doesn't make sense. V'hazimnin the mishkachas no ipcha. It's possible that the case should be the opposite. What's going to be a case where it's the opposite? Where the karfif is wider than the chotzer. So then what's going to happen? You're going to have remnants of a wall in the karfif, and you're not going to have any remnants of the wall in the chotzer. Take a look in picture Reish Zayin. So you see right over here. So you have the karfif has remnants of the wall that close it off, and the chotzer does not have any remnants of a wall. So here over here it's punkt fakert. So according to the Rabbanon, the karfif is still enclosed, and the chotzer is totally open. So how could we make this blanket statement and say that the chotzer is mutter and the karfif is aser? It depends where you have the remnants of the wall. So that's all if it goes according to the Rabbanon. So that won't work. This pshat is not going to work. Ella, rather, what is the pshat over here? We're not going according to the Rabbanon, we're going according to Rab Shimon. A karfif, a chotzer that are open to each other, really you're allowed to carry, there's no issue. Rab Shimon holds you can carry from one to another. But what's the point that he's saying? Mishum damrinon ze aver mechitzes miyatrai. The reason why in the karfif that got broken open into a chotzer, you're not allowed to carry there, is because the space of where the wall was standing, that now extends the karfif. Not the chotzer extends the karfif. The space where the wall was standing, that extends the karfif, and therefore it's aser. But regarding the chotzer, there's no issue of an extension of the space of the wall. There's no such a thing by a chotzer. The chotzer was made for a base dira, and in a chotzer you're allowed to carry. The fact that you have an extension of space, there's no issue. By a karfif, which was exactly base hasayin, and now you extended a little bit the space by breaking down the wall, there's an issue. So here I see this point, that if the wall is broken down, that space where the wall was on, it extends that space, and therefore it's aser. Sagt the Gemara, hahu bustana. There was a orchard. The havasamech loguda da apadna, which was right near the wall of a palace. So basically this bustana was a very big area, more than Beis Hasayim, but it had a wall of a house, and this or some kind of a palace, and this house had a door that was open inside this karfif, or inside this area, this orchard. So take a look if you want to take a look in the picture. They have a picture for this. Okay, see in picture Reish Ches. So right over here you have a big area. It's a karfif. It's more than Beis Hasayim, but there's the fourth wall is a wall of a big palace, and there's a door. There's a door in that wall. That door is a base dira because there's that door that opens into the karfif. So that makes it a base dira that now this area you're allowed to carry there. So that was the case. What happened? Nafal ashisa beraise da padna. The outside wall that was facing this orchard fell down. So what happened? So now if you take a look, they have a picture of this. If you can't imagine what this is, how the wall fell down, they can show you that too. Picture Reish Tes. So if you just take a look at what you see here. The outside wall fell down, but the interior wall on the other side is still there. So now the question is, could you rely on that interior wall that it's still considered to be surrounded by a wall that was made for a base dira? Okay, so Savar Rav Bivi Lemeima. Rav Bivi wanted to say the lismoich aguda gavyasa. True, we can't rely anymore on the outside wall that fell down, but we could rely on the interior wall that's inside. So it's still surrounded by another wall that was made for a base dira. Amalei Rav Papi responded to Rav Beve and said, Mishum de asum mimuloi, because you come from a lineage, from a yichus, that the children of the family passed away young, amirisu mili mulyaisa. So you say a halacha, which is also makes no sense. Rashi says, Bivi was a son of Abaye. Is that what it is? Remember correctly? Huh? Yeah, he was a son of Abaye, and Abaye came from Eli. And Eli Akayin, there's the story in Shmuel that his children didn't treat the Beis HaMikdash properly, and his children passed away young. So he's telling them that was your lineage, where you came from. So this is why he's saying these kind of things. And he explained to him, Rav Papi, that he said, Hanach mechitzes legavoy avidan. Those interior mechitzes were not made for this karfif. They were made for the house. Lebroy le'avidan. For the outside area, they weren't made. You could only rely on a mechitza that has a door open and it's made for a base dira, for that mechitza that was actually facing this area. But the mechitzas that were made legavoy cannot be used as another wall to be for a base dira for this area. So therefore now they're not going to be allowed to carry in this area. Okay, we'll stop over here. The next chelik goes all the way further down.